I am greatly honored for this singular opportunity given to me by His Excellency, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to represent him here for the opening of the National Development Conference 2023, but for an equally important assignment that has made it impossible for the President to be here in person. It was his utmost wish to honor the invitation and deliver this address. The President sends his warm felicitations to the conference, and he is grateful to the Church of Pentecost and the chairman, his very good friend, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, for the opportunity to deliver these remarks. The President says, I should tell you this, and he says, if there is one church which has over the years, and particularly in recent times, risen to its duties of being a steadfast partner of government in the development of the nation, he there says it is the Church of Pentecost. Indeed, the contribution of the Church of Pentecost to education, healthcare, social welfare, and the financial development of Ghana continues to merit unalloyed gratitude of the Ghanaian people. The collaboration of the state and church in mutual respect and in the promotion of religious liberty has been an essential feature of Ghanaian governance, which has inured very much to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. I would, in this respect, use this important platform to express the gratitude of the nation for the very proactive role the church, indeed the religious community as a whole, played in assisting our people cope with the effects of the global COVID-19 pandemic. The Church of Pentecost has proven not to be just a spectator, but also an active player in the growth of Mother Ghana. And we are confident that the good Lord will continue to bless the efforts of this church. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this conference seeks to bring together major stakeholders in our national development for a reflection and discourse towards developing a framework for a moral vision for Ghana's development. The carefully chosen theme for the conference, and I quote, moral vision and national development, end quote, is timely and relevant to our national discourse. It should serve as a call not only to members of the Church of Pentecost, but also to all faithful disciples of Christ. Indeed, to all Ghanaians to rise to their religious responsibilities and stimulate the desired motivational spirit of renewal and transformation towards effective nation building. It should be our collective desire that the principles of God's kingdom become the driving forces in our lives. God rules in the affairs of men, and in all our dealings, we must recognize the presence of the Almighty, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, and the omniscient. As leaders of the Christian faith, this should be the standard for being a disciple of Jesus Christ. As President of the Republic, that is Nana Akufo-Addo, not me. As President of the Republic, as you all know, my goal since coming into office has been to improve the living standards of the Ghanaian people. Every policy initiative, whether it is the free senior high school policy, the Program for Planting for Food and Jobs, or the One District, One Factory initiative, has been implemented with the well-being of the Ghanaian at heart. Before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, our nation had the fastest growing economies. That's one of the fastest growing economies, not just in Africa, but across the world. However, the ravages of the pandemic, worsened by the effects of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, disrupted our progress. Nonetheless, I can assure all of you gathered here that the Akufo-Addo government is determined to bring relief to Ghanaians and return the economy back to the high rates of growth that characterized the management of our economy in the 3 years preceding the COVID outbreak in 2020. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking steps which are taming inflation and exchange rate depreciation, and economic growth has also picked up. We will continue with our programs for the expansion and modernization of our educational system to create a 21st century workforce, the systematic reform of our healthcare system to ensure a resilient, robust healthcare delivery system, the realization of the agenda of industrial transformation that holds the key to our future prosperity, the enhancement of agricultural productivity to guarantee the prospects of food security, the execution of the comprehensive infrastructural development plan in roads and railways, the conclusion of the digitalization process to obtain the full benefits of the fourth industrial revolution, the protection and greening of our environment to address climate change, and the empowerment of the security services to consolidate peace, security, and stability of the state and nation, the establishment of a free and just society where entrepreneurship and individual initiative are sources of wealth creation, with a strong social safety net for the marginalized and disadvantaged, and the improvement of the governance architecture to deepen accountability and respect for the rule of law in our body politic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, any society characterized by rampant deception, bribery, and corruption will not make any progress. We ignore the human factor in a nation's development at our peril. The informal and non-transparent nature of our society makes it easy for people to hide. People believe that there is no accountability for their actions or inactions. The behavior, as Pastor Eric Nyamiche has just said, Apostle Eric Nyamiche has just said, the behavior of the people determines the transformation of a nation. And this is why, as a government, we have focused on putting in place systems that will reduce the role of the human factor and enhance transparency through digitalization of the economy. We have put in place systems that will encourage or compel morally upright behavior. And this is why you've seen several initiatives. We are living in a very informal society, and this is why it was possible for you to be born and you die in Ghana without anybody recognizing you in any official document. The issuance of national ID cards is providing us unique identity for everybody. And this now means we are now moving to the stage where from next month going forward, babies who are born will be issued national ID numbers. And this will make sure, because when you talk about the Americas, the US, and how they do it, they behave because everybody is identified. Immediately you are born in that society, you are given a social security number or a national insurance number. So from birth through school to work and when you die, everything you do is recorded, is attributable to you. We have lived for a long time in essentially a very informal, non-transparent society. So people can behave in ways that don't have consequences. But when people are uniquely identified, it checks misbehavior, because there are consequences to bad behavior, to behavior that is not morally justified. And this is why we are linking the databases across different institutions so that we can find out what everybody is doing across, and the data will speak to it. And this is why the Ghana card is being linked to the GRA, becomes your TIN number, to SLIT, to the banks, to Deaths and Deaths Registry, to DVLA, to the passport office, to the births, and so on, so that there is a single source of truth across all of these institutions. And therefore, if you cannot, for example, because we are now linking the Births and Deaths Registry with the National Identification Authority and the Ghana Health Service, it's no longer possible to go and lie about your age, because you will be caught. It used to be possible to lie about your age. It is no longer possible now, because the interactions with the various systems will reveal what is correct. We've also digitalized the operations of many government institutions, and in the process we have reduced corruption in those institutions. I mean, we at the ports, for example, we've instituted a paperless port system. One of the interesting things about the implementation of the paperless porting system was the resistance of the customs officers when we wanted to make the operations paperless. The officers on day one, the first day of the operations of the paperless port system, some of them organized demonstrations against the system, because they did not want the system to work. But we persisted, and the system is working. We have digitalized the operations of the DVLA, and it's now one of the world-class institutions operating in the country. You don't really need Goro boys and to pay bribes to work in that. Applying for a passport today is a very easy process. You don't need to go and pay Goro boys. You can do it online. It will be delivered for you, and you can proceed. Electricity Company of Ghana, today you can buy your credit on your mobile phone, and it is very, very simple. I will tell you one thing. We noticed a very, very interesting piece of data which speaks to the problems at ECG. We looked at the data, and for a period of 4 years or so, the revenues of ECG were virtually constant. I said, this cannot be possible. How can you get more customers and your revenue is constant? And the interesting thing was that the value was virtually the same, the constant value. They didn't even take their time to change the value. So we said, no, we need to send in a team to look at the architecture of revenue collections at ECG and digitalize the process properly. So we sent in a team to ECG. They were collecting 415 million Ghana cedis a month. When we sent in the team, there was sabotage. malware was introduced into the system by people working right there. We worked through that with the help of national security, and we then brought in a whole new architecture for ECG, thanks to the Minister for Energy, Matthew Boku-Prempeh. We brought in a whole new architecture for ECG. And after this completion of this work from the digitalization process, 450 million a month has now increased to 1.2 billion every month. Just think about it. You've increased from 450 million to 1.2 billion by doing nothing but making sure all payments are now electronic, no cash, reconfiguring the architecture of the payment system at ECG. That's all we did. Similarly, at the passport office, we have increased revenue from 1 million Ghana cedis a year to 64 million Ghana cedis a year. So these things, when you look at the nature of behavior in these institutions, there was clearly a lot of leakage, but through digitalization, we are compelling behavior which is morally upright. In this country, interest rates are very high. And why are interest rates high? People, when they borrow, they don't repay, isn't it? So the rest of us get stuck with the risk that other people are basically imposing on all of us. And this is why we are making sure that everybody's risk can be identified. And in the very near future, we are going to begin credit scoring for everybody individually. Your credit score will determine your access to credit and your interest rate. You will be held accountable for your own behavior. We have also clearly, through digitalization, moved towards digital payments. Mobile money interoperability, the universal QR code. Mobile money interoperability is massive and it's going to really help us in the future. When we came into office, total mobile money transactions was 78 billion Ghana cedis. This year, we are going to end at 1.5 trillion Ghana cedis in mobile money transactions. And it tells you essentially how the move up towards digital payments and electronic payments is going to bring in a lot more transparency for our system. I know that the central bank, Dr. Maxwell Opoku Afari is here. They are working very hard on a central bank digital currency, which is going to be a game changer. I know they have piloted it around Seshiri or so, and it's coming. And I believe in the next 5 years, Ghana will move towards a central bank digital currency, and that is going to bring in such a high level of transparency that we will check corruption right from the start. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the very important steps government has implemented to strengthen the moral fiber of the nation. We are not just telling people to behave properly, we are making sure they behave properly because we are putting in the systems to compel behavior. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I continue to have an abiding faith in God to help turn the fortunes of our nation around, accompanied by appropriate policy, determination, and hard work on our part. And I urge all of you gathered here to have the same belief that the fortunes of Ghana under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be restored. The battle is still the Lord's. At the end of my tenure of office on 7th January 2025, I want to be able to say, just like Paul did in 2 Timothy chapter 4 verses 7 and 8, that I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that day, and not to me only, but to also all who have loved his appearing. End quote. Excellencies, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I have no doubt that the state and the church will continually find ways to collaborate for the good of Mother Ghana and for the improved welfare of the citizenry, all to the glory of our Father in heaven. I am confident that the various speakers lined up for this national discourse will effectively direct us into thinking through what we are already doing and how these can be aligned in the manner that seeks the betterment of the nation. I anticipate a healthy and dispassionate national discourse and deliberation that will continue after this conference. May the good Lord be with us all as we deliberate on the various topics for discussion towards a moral vision for our beloved Ghana. Accordingly, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I, on behalf of His Excellency the President, declare the National Development Conference duly opened in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. May God bless the Church of Pentecost and us all, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong.